Welcome back to another episode of American Dream TV. I'm your co-host, Neil Lyon.
And I'm your other co-host, Jake Lyon. New Mexico, and especially Santa Fe, have always attracted free thinkers and artists of many types. Our long lineage of famed creatives have led Santa Fe to be named the United States' first creative city by UNESCO in 2005 and the winner of the 2017 National Geographic Award for Sense of Place. With our incredible sunsets, our beautiful mountain and desert scapes, we are known to be an inspiring place. Artists like Georgia O'Keeffe, Agnes Martin, Gustav Bauman, and Judy Chicago have reached international renown, but have strong ties to our local community.
Authors like Edward Abbey, Tony Hillerman, and Cormac McCarthy have called Santa Fe and New Mexico home. We have Hampton Sides, we have Doug Preston, we have George R.R. Martin of Game of Thrones fame as our neighbors. One of Santa Fe's most prolific authors is a gentleman named John Camp, known to his many, many fans as John Sandford. And today we have the pleasure of being with John in his beautiful home. John, great to see you.
Neil, Jake,
Nice to see you, John.
John, I've known you for a long time and you're a pretty normal guy, but most of your storylines are pretty twisted. Tell us about your worldview.
Well, I was a newspaper reporter for the first half of my career, and I saw a lot of twisted things. I spent a lot of time on the street in Miami and Minneapolis. I was in Miami during the cocaine cowboy days, talked to a lot of criminals, talked to a lot of bad people, covered the crash in the L-1011 jumbo jet in the Everglades, in which I saw 100 people who were torn to pieces by the crash. I flew in there to wade through the muck out there and watch the recovery. So I saw a lot of twisted things.
Prior to writing novels, you were a Pulitzer Prize winning writer as a journalist. What was the story that led you to winning that award?
It was about a farm family in southwest Minnesota, and it was during a great farm depression of the middle 80s in which a lot of family farms were closed down. A lot of families lost their livelihoods. It was a pretty big disaster, actually. And I went out to this family, who were a great people out in southwest Minnesota, and I spent a year talking to them and writing stories about what was going on with their little farm, how they were managing, that kind of thing. And you know, and talking to their neighbors and talking to other people around them. It was a good story. I mean, it was just basically a good story to begin with, whether I wrote it or not, but I wrote it, and I was lucky enough to win the Pulitzer.
What took you from your career as a journalist to one as a novelist? Money,
basically. The fact is that I got $1,000, I think, was the amount you got for the Pulitzer. The paper gave me a $50 a week raise, and I had 3 people who wanted to go to the University of Minnesota, which just the tuition would have cost close to $40,000 a year. So I had to find another income stream, and it turned out I did well with it. That sort of put everybody through college and got me started on a new career.
I know you have a new book coming out next week, and I know you're working on the next book, which will be released next spring, and it's about Santa Fe and New Mexico. It's the first story that's been based in New Mexico. Tell us about that.
Well, my wife and I, my second wife, my first wife died of breast cancer. My wife and I, Michelle, moved here because we both liked the place. We had been coming here for years. I used to come here for the photo workshop, and my wife came here to study watercolor painting. And we just both liked the place. And so now this new novel is set, it's the first one I've done set here, and it's set in Taos, and it's set in Santa Fe. It's ugly, but it's interesting.
John, thanks for the time today. You've been a good friend. You and Michelle have been great friends, and I so value you, and thanks for letting us come into your beautiful home and spend a few minutes with you. It was great spending time with John today. Thanks for doing that with me.
It's always a blast. And thanks for joining us on this episode of American Dream TV. I'm Jake Lyon.
I'm Neil Lyon. We'll see you at the next episode.